Start your engines, everybody, and let's go. This is the Microsoft 365 and Power Platform Development Bi-Weekly Call, and we are live with the community. Today is the 4th of July. My name is David Warner with Quisitive, and I will be your host for the call. Let's talk about our agenda. We're going to get some latest updates on the community, .NET Library, ASP&P PowerShell with Gautam is here. We're going to talk about the latest on Microsoft Teams Toolkit, and then we're going to just remind everybody that we got samples galore, script samples, team samples, Power Platform samples, and then, of course, everybody's favorite time, picture time with those cameras and those fantastic faces. And then, of course, we've got two amazing presenters today. So Swami, both first time, by the way. So we got to show them some love and welcomeness. So Swami's here to talk about creating modern templates using Microsoft Syntex. And Sandeep is going to talk about enhancing UX and Copilot using adaptive cards. So we are super excited to see what they've cooked up and are ready to share with us in the community. But first, what about those resources I mentioned? Well, we've got learning videos. In fact, it is called the Microsoft Community Learning YouTube channel. We'll talk about more on that in a moment, but it is videos that include things like this community call, all of our other community calls, demos, and videos that are brought to you by some things like the big events, like conferences and other presentations that the community is doing. We've also got our LinkedIn group for discussion, so you can join in there. It is our community LinkedIn group, so it is open to anybody, and it's not just for consumption. You're able to contribute and talk about things there and have discussions as well. We've also got our open source initiatives, and of course I mentioned those sample galleries. They span the spectrum of all the cool stuff that we love: team samples, SPFX samples, Power Platform, list formatting, you name it, we got it. Samples all around the globe ready for you, and by the way, absolutely free. And you have to remember all these links by heart. There'll be a test at the end. Ha, I'm kidding. All you got to do, remember one link, ak.ms/community/home will give you access to all this goodness, one little URL, and you get a plethora of cool stuff. So definitely take advantage of it. Now, I'd mentioned that Microsoft Community Learning channel. It isn't really anything new, everybody, so don't worry. This isn't like, oh my goodness, another channel. This is the same channel that you've always known and loved and probably already subscribed to, and if you don't, well, we encourage you to. It was the Microsoft 365 and Power Platform community, but we wanted to make it more inclusive, a little bit more aware of what it is that we're doing there, so things like D365, Copilot, all these other new technologies that are coming out. It's not just under the umbrella of 365 and Power Platform. It is inclusive of all the technologies. So we renamed it Microsoft Community Learning because really that's what we're doing together as a community. We're learning. So we wanted it to be a little bit more aware of what it is that we're doing there. So definitely, if you've not already subscribed, you can go check it out at ak.ms/community/YouTube. Definitely subscribe. It'll give you access immediately, and like it and let all those things know. They set the alerts for new drops and all that stuff, and you'll be alerted as soon as those videos are available. Now, you're here because you like community calls. Well, so do I. And we got a ton of them. So the Microsoft 365 and Power Platform weekly call. Now, these are Microsoft speakers only. So what makes those special? Well, you're getting all the information directly from product managers and program managers, directly from the mothership up in Washington. And so these are great. They are weekly, although it is on a summer break, right? Like Ross from Friends. We're on a break just until the 3rd of September. Everybody takes a lot of time off during the summer around the globe, so we want to be respectful of that. So it is on a break until the 3rd of September. But you can still go download the invite, get it onto your calendar, and be ready to come back in September for some amazing goodness that we are cooking up. Of course, we've got our Power Platform monthly call, which is 2 weeks from yesterday, I think. We've got our Office add-ins, and we've got our Microsoft 365 and Power Platform community bi-weekly calls and Viva Connections SharePoint Framework. You are on the Microsoft 365 and Power Platform, and of course next week will be the Viva Connections and SharePoint Framework. You can get access to all these calls at ak.ms/community/calls. Add them to your invites, add them to your calendars. They are great to be at. I call them a crystal ball into what's new, what's now, and what's next. Helps you kind of see how everyone else in the world is using the technologies that we use every single day, perhaps in different ways that we had not even thought possible. So well worth the investment of your time. We appreciate you for being here. But if you're not here live and you can start making it, that would be great because it is a wonderful way to collaborate with the community. And of course, again, as I mentioned, that weekly call is on a break. We'll be back the 3rd of September. Well, if you go join that on Tuesdays, we cannot update your invite because it is on your personal invite or your personal calendar. We can't change it, but it will tell you that we're on a break. We've updated the ak.ms there. So that way you're not just sitting on a Teams call, hopefully wondering, what's going on? Where's everybody? You'll be get this cool little water thing that's kind of fun and reactive. So thanks to Stefan Bauer and Hugo Bernier for that. And as you're watching these calls and you think, I want to present because I got cool stuff too. Well, guess what? We absolutely welcome you and we want you to present. These calls are open to anyone and everyone. These are your community calls, not ours, not the presenters. They are yours. And so we welcome everyone. And don't overthink it. If you're thinking that this needs to be some sort of, amazing, incredible, super amazing, did I say amazing thing that you show off that, has never been seen before in history? It doesn't. If you've created something that you find value in, I guarantee others will find value in it too. So share it. Could be small, could be big, could break it up into multiple sessions. That's A-okay. And if you've never presented before, this is a great place to start if you've got aspirations to speak at perhaps user groups or conferences or community events. This is a great way to get started. We'll even buddy you up. So if you've never presented and you want to buddy up with someone, just let us know in the comments when you fill out the form, and we'll connect you with an MVP or a member of the team, and you'll work on it together, and you could even present it together. It's a great way. We've seen folks go from having zero presentation experience to being an MVP. So don't think it can't work, because it absolutely can. And you can be next. All right. And as you're working through all these things and you think, I want to be part of contributing to those samples as well, or I want to better know how to utilize those samples or access them, but they're a GitHub, and that GitHub place is ugly and it is weird and it is scary, and they use words like fork and raw and blame. I don't know what that means. Well, don't worry, we got you covered. Sharing is Caring is our program that is free to the community to provide hands-on guidance. What does that mean? It means we join Teams calls together and walk you through how to do things like submit a GitHub pull request. Well, maybe you don't even know what a pull request is, but we'll teach you. It's the gateway to contributing. And we just had one last week. We're rescheduling the next one. So definitely keep an eye out at aka.ms/sharingiscaring, and we will get you set up with the latest schedule for that. They are absolutely safe space opportunities. They are free to join. And when I say safe space, that means we don't record them. So you don't have to worry about asking questions that might get recorded. I know that can be stressful. I always think about that, but you don't have to worry about it. It's a great time. Learn with others in the community. It is interactive, and so it's a wonderful opportunity to collaborate. Absolutely free. And then, of course, once you do contribute, we want to recognize you. So we've got our recognition program, which is powered by Credly. Yes, that same Credly that provides those badges that you used to get for certifications. We are still providing. We just re-upped with them for another year. We cover that cost as part of the community, and we're coming out with some fun new badges, some summer samples. As we get into October, of course, we'll have Hacktober back, but we're also talking about Promptober. We'll have our season of Getting. We've got our multiverse contributor badges, so be on the lookout for that. Definitely get signed up, aka.ms/community/recognition. We do need you just to opt in. All you got to do is do that once, and we'll track the GitHub work you're doing as well as other initiatives and reward you with these badges, which can be officially accredited as well and associated to your LinkedIn profile, your Twitter. You can put them on blog, put them on your resume. Why are they important, you may ask? Well, because they show your manager or your clients that you are making a difference. You are taking that extra step and putting in that extra effort. And that usually is well received by managers when they're thinking about things like raises and bonuses. It helps. Every little bit helps. So don't underestimate it. Get opted in. It's our way of saying thank you. And this is a new feature we've got, Copilot prompts. Rabia Williams has been helping this with Bob German, so we welcome the community to contribute in the samples folder for great Copilot prompts. You can get that at ak.ms/pnp prompt-library. We also have a Power Platform one handled by April Dunham, but definitely take advantage. And what Rabia started doing is a kudo of the week, a prompt of the week. So we want to thank Guillermo here. He's got one that generates Markdown, release notes in Markdown by using email content as a source, right? So it's pretty cool. These are really, really cool ways to kind of identify how you can better use Copilot. Sometimes it can be hard. We're told Copilot can do anything. Okay, great. What Copilot can you do? I don't know what to tell it. So now we've got ideas for you to take and try out. So thank you, Guillermo, for the prompt of the week, generating Markdown for release notes. Very, very cool. Excellent job, Guillermo. Woo! Yes. Woo. All right. Let's move into some project-specific updates. So most of the people are on vacation today or for the summer. So Gautam and I are here to cover and hold down the fort. First up is PNP.NET Libraries. Version 1.15 is out. Support for .NET 8. This is a wonderful, wonderful framework, as well as the PNP Core SDK. Version 1.12 is out. Support also for .NET 8. They are prepping for 1.13. Bert will have more information on this when he gets back. But again, we would just want to say thank you to everyone that is contributing to this initiative. You can see that it is getting 56 billion requests in May 2024. That does not happen by accident. So you are all amazing for supporting and using this initiative. So thank you. Let's move over to Gautam on PNP PowerShell.
Awesome. Awesome. Thanks a lot, David. In PNP PowerShell as well, we had a major release 2.5.0. So go do check it out. It contains quite a lot of changes. It is also a security update as well, because there are quite a few security things that we fixed in this particular build. So I highly recommend that you use this latest version. What we have also been working quite a lot as well after we released that. So what we did was we improved the PNP Teams channel and the PNP Teams primary channel commands to accurately reflect the channel type that is returned. So what used to happen was sometimes there are quite a few channels which are shared channels, and that value was not getting correctly reflected. So we fixed that. What else? We added quite a lot of in-depth verbose logging. So if you are using the command, all of these commands that you use with PNP PowerShell, if you specify the verbose parameter, we have made quite a few improvements there. So absolutely would highly recommend you to check that out in the nightly builds. And yes, what else? Would absolutely love to hear back from you as well. So please reach out to us on the discussion forum as well as on the issues list. So yeah, over to you, David. Thanks a lot.
Awesome. Thank you. I mean, to get 54 billion requests in a month here, that can't happen by accident. Something is cool about this project. Yeah. So thank you, everybody. All right. Let's get over to Teams Toolkit as PowerShell flies away. Teams Toolkit, create, build, and ship apps for Teams, Outlook, and M365 in VS Code, Visual Studio, and CLI. So John is out again today as well as everyone else. So definitely 5.8 has been released for VS Code, 17.10 for Visual Studio, and 3.0 for CLI. These are very cool tools. John is really great about interacting with others, so you can chat with him anytime at aka.ms/ttk-chat. Get involved. Again, he's making regular updates, so this is a great initiative to kind of utilize within VS Code. And then, of course, we've got script samples. These are really, honestly, everybody, one of the best ways to get started if you're wanting to contribute to the community, because we all have those utility scripts, whether it's PowerShell or a CLI for Microsoft 365 or the management shell or Graph, right? We've all got scripts that help us do things easier and more efficiently. So, why not share them with everybody? And hey, we got badges for that. Paul is a fantastic maintainer for this project and very easy to approach. So let him know if you have any questions. He will absolutely walk you through and help you get contributing. And of course, we've got our sharing is caring, which will help too. So get involved. Next up is Microsoft Teams samples. Bob's out. So again, we've got a classified listings Copilot sample here. We've got room for more samples this week as well as any future. So if you've got team samples and want to share them, don't hesitate. These are really, really great ways, again, to showcase some of the work that we're likely all already doing. So get recognized. And of course, we've got our Power Platform samples. This covers Power Apps, Power Automate, Power BI, Power Platform prompts, as I mentioned. So again, Kate's out this week. So aka.ms/Power Platform-samples will give you access to all that wonderful goodness. All right, well, what time is it? It is picture time. So let's try to get into together mode. And I'm going to turn that on here. And I'm going to start up Camtasia. And that's going to do that, and I'll move that over there, and it looks like together mode is working, so you all look amazing already. Let's do that, and all right, we got, man, that is clear today. Look at that. All right, excellent. Let's still got room for a few more if you just want to take an opportunity really quickly, and we are okay on time because we only got 2 demos today, so anybody else? We'll start the recording here. 3, 2, oh, wait, I didn't turn my own camera on. Hold on. Okay, let me see if I can sneak in there. All right. Excellent, excellent. Maybe not. Don't like. Oh, there I am. I'm up behind Guido. All right, everybody. Okay. 3, 2, 1, wave. Woo! You look awesome. Look fantastic. Excellent to see you all. Looks great. We'll get this recorded out and shared with the community. Excellent. Looking good. Okay. All right. Well, let's get back to our regularly scheduled program. And we are going to start off with, as we transition, Swami is here to talk about creating modern templates using Microsoft Syntex. So, Swami, whenever you're ready, if you'd like to take on over the screen.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. Thanks. Okay, so I'll be sharing my screen.
Yep.
David, let me know once it is visible.
It is trying to load for me, and yep, looks great. Just throw it into presentation mode, and you are on your way.
Okay.
Perfect.
It's good, right? Okay.
Yep,
So
looks great.
thanks, David, and the community for giving me this incredible opportunity to present in this call. So this is my first session. So yeah, looking forward to contribute more to this community. So let me start by introducing myself. So myself, Swami. I'm from India, working in a SharePoint and Power Platform from the past 3 years. Also, I've been working on a lot of POCs and Microsoft technologies as well. So coming towards today's agenda, which is the Microsoft Syntex. So if you know that from a long time, there is a concept called SharePoint Syntex as well. So there are a lot of word you might heard about it. One is SharePoint Syntex, then there's SharePoint Premium as well, and this is the Microsoft Syntex. So all these things are mostly same. So Syntex, once I will show you the what is the agenda of today's meeting. So first we'll discuss what is Microsoft Syntex, then what are the Syntex services available. Then we are going to see the content assembly, which is the part of the Syntex services. So what is the use case of it? And we'll see the actual demo, like how you can implement that Microsoft Syntex content assembly service in your document processing. And there are some use cases as well. So how you are going to use that. So first, let me start introducing about what Microsoft Syntex is. So Syntex is service that is majorly use the AI and for the document processing, content understanding. Also, it uses the AI and machine learning to optimize the documents, to classify the documents across your SharePoint online sites, your across the organization as well. So it really helps us to quickly analyze, classify the documents. So if we talk about Syntex services, so there are a lot of services like first one is document processing. In document processing, we have the structured and unstructured document processing. So if you heard about Power Platform AI Builder, so it is exactly the same, but Microsoft did give us the platform to manage all this document processing on the SharePoint environment only. So we don't have to go in Power Apps to create a documents processing model using AI Builder, then apply the model in the document library. But using Microsoft Syntex, it's very easy that you have to set up the SharePoint site and you can access all these things in the SharePoint site only. Then we have few services called as content assembly, image tagging, taxonomy tagging, and these all these services. So our majorly the goal is for the content assembly only. So in content assembly, what we can do, just imagine one scenario like if you are using some document processing. So let's say if you are creating some contract documents for your client. So there are a lot of process. So first the client is onboarded, then we have to generate some SOW templates. Then once the client is finalized, then we have to send a contract. So this process is currently, let's say, will take some time, right? So there are manually, we have to create a document, then manually we have to do the entries in the document, right? So using Microsoft Syntex, what we can do, we can just create a document template. We can store all the client information in some list or libraries in the SharePoint, and we just have to fill some information and it will create all the documents using the information that already present in the document library or the documents client that we have shared with us. We are going to extract all these fields and all this data using some AI builder documents as well. So what is the use case here is the first one is the efficiency. Second one is consistency and reducing error, because there are a lot of chances that we get some, let's say if you are a person manual typing in, there are lots of typo error we got. Sometimes if you change the word format also, there is a lot of formatting issues are there. Okay, so let's move toward the demo, like what we can see. So for this example, I have taken one SOW. So this is a simple SOW I have just created. So let's say this is the scope of a document. This is our migration project. And here are some basic information about client. So what is the client name? What is the date? Who is the primary contact and primary contact email as well? So if you scroll below top of the document, so this is the complete SOW, like if we are proposing a solution to client. So this is the standard format we use. Then to create a contract, what we have did, we have created one Microsoft document Word template. So as you can see, let's say if you are an organization, you use the standard templates as well to create a contracts. So in this contract, you can see the information like client name, client address, and the complete structure is almost same. Only the change will be in these service state, end type, service provider, client name, and their address. So these are the information we have to manually fill in. Or let's say you have some person that have to manually fill in all this data using different location. We have to get the files, we have to get the contacts. If we don't have some information, then we have to ask someone to do it. So there are a lot of manual tasks involved. So what we can do, we can just create the document template using this document. And then we can upload the document in the document library, and we have the content extraction model using Microsoft Syntex that will extract the information from this document, and it will create a template based on that. So the flow will work like if you have the client list, as you can see that I have the list in the SharePoint that is storing the client details. So let's say there are some clients name like company name, contact name, and these are the just standard columns I use for this. So for every client, we are creating SOW document. So let's say I have the library called as the SOW documents. In that, I have added the documents. So as you can see, here are some columns that I have created, but I'm not manually typing in all the information. So once I upload a document in this document library, the AI processing model will automatically capture all the information in this document. So just for example, so this is the document I have shown you here. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to simply add this document into this document library. So once the document get uploaded, it will extract all the information like the client name, date, contact name, and contact email in these columns. So these are the very small information I captured here. If the SOW is big, you can capture a lot of information, but you have to train the model based on that as well. Because to extract the information, we have to build a model first. Then you have to select the library where you want to apply this model. So once the model is applied, you can see I have just added few documents here, and it automatically captured this information in my document library. So it will take some time to extract the content here. I'll just show you quickly how we can create the contracts. So for the contract creation, we have another list that will store the client name, contract start date, contract end date, and contract link. To create a contract, what we have to do, we have to just select the client name. So let's say already existing client, I have this global solutions. So I will click on global solutions. I will specify what is the contract start date here. So let's say the contract will start from 8th of July to 31st of July. And the contract number I will just type in as a 301. So once it is get saved, then we are using one Power Automate flow to generate that document using that mod template. So the flow will run in a minute. Till that time, we can see in the SOW documents, as you can see, the documents I have added here, the BY consulting, it automatically captured all these details like client name, contact email, whatever the information was present in my SOW document, it automatically calculate this information and put this in the respected column as well. Then this is the second step that we got the information about from the SOW. Then the third step is to create a contract. So I will go on a new contract creation form. Let's say I will create a new item. I will select the client name. I will specify the contract start date and contract end date here. And here I will put a contract number as 401. So once I save this, the flow will again run. It will go to this clients list and the SOW document library to capture all the information that we already fill in this document library and store that information in the contracts. So as you can see, I have just added this global solution. So once I click on it, it will open the documents. And here is the service contract that automatically got created using the existing information. So here we got the client name, here we got the client address, then who is the service provider, their details as well, SOW ID, then here the service start and service end, and what is the service type. So this is all the information that we already put in the SOW document. So all this information have already been captured here. So this is my template I have used. I'll just refresh just to check the flow has been run or not. Okay, so it will take some time. Yeah, as you can see, it just got populated. So for the BY consulting, I will open this document. It will download that document and just check. You can see the client name is already in here. The service provider, this is the static I have added in my document. And the service start date, end date, what is the service type, all the information automatically gets captured. So you don't have to manually open the document, get all the information from somewhere, and you have to put in the documents and then save it in a PDF. All this process is completely automatic. So this was the use case here. So I'm going to show you like how we are going to create the model and the templates based on the existing documents we have. So the first step is you have to have the Microsoft Syntex licensing enabled for your organization. It currently support pay-as-you-go model. So there are a lot of services. You have to manually turn it on and you have to select some sites and document library. All this configuration you have to done before you are going to create these services and using these services. So currently it is on the pay-as-you-go model, and you must have the global admin or M365 admin role to create some Microsoft Syntex services. And also you need an active Azure subscription for that because it's going to associate with the resource group in the Azure. So let's say you have implemented the content assembly model in your admin center, then you have selected the site. So once you selected the site, you have to create a document library. And in the document library, you can see there's a new option called create a modern template. So once I click on that, the first thing it will ask what is the reference. So from which document you are creating one model. So I'm just going to select my template here. So as you can see, this is the SOW. Let me open the contract one. Okay, this is my contract template. So the template is automatically populated here. You can see these are the placeholder I have used to easily understand what all the fields are. So I'm not going to create all the fields and map all the fields because it will going to take some time. So I'm just going to showcase you like how you can map the fields. So first you have to select the area like where you want to replace it and where you want to put a dynamic content. So here as you can see, I have selected the client name. You have to click on field. You have to give it a name like what is this field is about. So this will be a client name. So once I selected this, I'm going to click on next. So it will ask us to what is the type of this. So it's a single line of text. So once I save it, it will create the field for client address as well. I'm going to select it. I'm going to create a name as client address. And once I click on next, I'm going to select it's a multi-line of text. Okay. So let's say in this type, you can map the fields in your document. There are multiple document formats supported. So you can see, so let's say this is a created date. I'm just going to name it as a contract date. And you can see these types are supported currently, like single line of text, multiple, number, date and time. So for date and time, we have a lot of option. Like standard, we use the MMDDYY, this format. So once you have mapped all the fields, you have to click on publish. So you can give a contract template name. So let's say this, I will just going to give a template name as sample template. Then you have to select all the fields. Now, why do we need to select all the fields? Because once we publish the template, it will automatically create these columns in our SharePoint document library. So once I hit on publish, it will take a minute or two to publish this, and everything is done. So as you can see, this is my contract library, and all these columns got automatically created because I have selected this on the time of template creation. Now, the process I have showcased you, like whenever I enter the information in the list, the Power Automate flow will run and then create a document template. That was an automated process. But if you want to do it manually without going to Power Automate, you can do that. How you can do that? Click on new, and you can see the contract template is automatically populated here. So once I click on that, it will open that document on the, let's say, left hand side, but you don't have to actually edit here. It will create a simple form like structure. As you can see, this is the contract date, this is the date field, the client name I will set as Brian, and this is the client address. So we don't have to actually edit in the documents because we have to fill all the information here. So once I fill all the information, I just want to create a document. There are two types of available, documents and PDF. So I will just simply create this document and it will save in the document library. So there are two ways you can create. The first one is manual, manually go to the SharePoint library to create this, or the second one is automated. There are differences in between two because in the default Syntex licensing, when you create a templates from here, contract template, you create any document, there is a standard licensing applied. But if you use the Power Automate to create this document template, there is some additional cost as well. So you can find all this information in the Syntex licensing page on the MS Learn. So once the document got created, you can easily view the document here. So this was the complete process, like how you can create some contracts and all the information you have. You just have to fill in all the information. So let me show you what is the Power Automate flow I have created here. So just a really simple flow. So first, when my item got created in the SharePoint list, it will get the item based on the client name. So for every client, we got the SOW. In that we have mentioned the client name. So what it will do, it will have some unique ID for that. So based on that ID, it will fetch the information. It will list down that information, and here we have the action called generate document using Microsoft Syntex. So this document action, we have to generate a document. So here we have to select the site first, then we have to select a document library where the document is published. Then we have the document template. So if you created multiple document templates, then you will get a drop down. You have to select that document template and you will automatically get all these fields that already presented in your document library. So all these fields are required. You have to fill all these fields. So once I map all the fields and put the data here, you just have to save it. And whenever the new item will get created, the document will generate it based on the information you have in your SharePoint list and SharePoint document library. So this was the complete flow. So talking about the use cases. So the first one is contract management. We just saw like there are automatically generated documents based on the information we already have in multiple places. Then to create a SOW statement of works, you have the fixed formats. But instead of going to create manually, changing the formats of the word time to time, we have to create just a simple template. And the main thing is you have the data in the list as well. So if you want just the client information, you can just simply export the list. So that's the benefit here. Also, you can use for the service agreements or onboarding documents. So let's say if there are new joinees joining the organization, some companies also have their documents and they have mentioned some steps to complete their onboarding process. So what they can do, just create a simple document, just maintain a list of new hires. They can enter the hire detail and document will be dynamically generated based on the information that HR has been put in the list. and it will send it to the respective person. So all these things we can use the content assembly and the document generation model. So there are lots of model of Microsoft Syntex we have. Yeah. So this is the one. Also in document processing, there are multiple models and multiple licensing plan has been there. So if you are using it, you have to check the licensing as well. And if you are customizing it, there are the additional charges for that also. So we have to use it accordingly. Yeah, this was my presentation today about Microsoft Syntex. There are a lot of services, there are a lot of talks we will find about that. And yeah, thank you.
Swami, great job. Excellent walkthrough here. Kind of covered end to end, provided an excellent insight on how to use this. And I know there's a lot of chat. There's a lot of questions. I'll let you cover those in the chat. A lot of them around licensing. So obviously, this is not always built for everyone. But hopefully, this is a version, or perhaps we'll see more available to people that are better licensed and affordable and all that stuff. So great job. Thank you for sharing this with the community. Excellent work. Okay, let's move to Sandeep, who's going to cover enhancing UX in Copilot using adaptive cards. Sandeep, feel free to take on over.
Yes, David, thank you. Let me quickly share my screen. Hope my screen is visible now.
It is now. Yep, looks great.
Yep, thank you. Yeah. Thank you everyone for having me today here in our community call. I'm grateful to be a part of this PNP community call today. Very little about me. I'm Sandeep Angara, based out of India, and have been working as an associate technical consultant at Argano, which is a Microsoft partner company. To talk on my skill set, I heavily do Power Automate on a daily basis, and the other tools I cover on the Power Platform are Copilot Studio, Power Apps, and Power BI. And also very recently been transitioned to the Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations. So I also do this ERP development as well. So here are my social media handles, and here are very awesome people I would like to connect with you all. Without any ado, let me jump into the topic today, which I will be covering on enhancing the user experience in Copilot using adaptive cards. So as we all know, we have been living in the Copilot era today. After Microsoft has been announced the Power Virtual Agents as the Copilot Studio, and even the Microsoft termed the very own term of virtual agents and the chatbots into the Copilots, there's a very high momentum for development of the custom Copilots. Even on not being of the Copilots, the out-of-the-box Copilots everywhere on Dynamics Power Platform, but also the custom Copilots momentum has also been on a greater note. So in this context, we would like to have a very a deep look over the enhancing the user experience, because that's how we would actually make our user to adopt to the Copilots. So let's see what we have out of the box in the Copilot Studio. The functionality and the capabilities of using and enhancing the user experience. For that, we would be having we'll be using different tools today. One will be the Adaptive Card Designer, which is a exclusive portal for designing the adaptive cards. And then we'll be looking at the Copilot Studio, where we actually go ahead and have this adaptive cards in the Copilot Studio, so that making it available to the Copilots that we host on the different platforms, for be it Teams, be it Outlook, or any other platform that Copilot Studio supports. We would be building Copilots in Copilot Studio, as you all know. So using the same Copilot Studio, we'll be using this adaptive card functionality to make up the user experience and make up all this data looking into our cards. But how do Power Automate fit into this context? Let's see in a demonstration how we can also leverage the power of the Power Automate within the context of the adaptive cards in Copilot Studio. Let me quickly jump into my browser, where you all can see now my browser screen, which points towards the Adaptive Cards Designer. So here is the designer. As I said, we would be designing the adaptive cards here in the Adaptive Card Designer, which is powered by the Microsoft again. And as you can see, you might have seen this interface or have already been worked with. but this is the interface where we would build adaptive cards. If you see on the left hand side navigation, we all have these elements, which is pretty much everything is a drag and drop, so that we can build UI rich components. To just have a quick description about the adaptive cards, these are a lightweight UI component UI component elements that we can that we can share between platforms. Today, there is a support of a good number of platforms, be it Viva Connections, Microsoft Teams, or Cortana, any other things. So for these hosts, and these are called adaptive cards because wherever we host these copilots, these adaptive cards will adapt to the native user interface, like whatever the user interface that is being implemented by particular host, it adapts to that user interface so that the host application will decide how your adaptive card looks like. Let's say it is bot framework web chat, which is our Copilot Studio default interface. Let's say if we are building out this Copilot into your teams and deploy it into the teams, this is how it looks like. So it adapts to the how we see our messages, how we see our cards or any other media in our teams. It will be adapted to that interface, to that UI framework. One thing to point here is the target version. Different platforms or the host applications will be supporting different versions of the adaptive cards. If we can say example of the Teams application, Teams supports the version of 1.5. So ensure that you select the right version or the supported version of the adaptive cards. So I think pretty much you understand how we'll be building adaptive cards in this interface. Just go to the new card and pick it up the elements that you would need on your card, and pretty much same like the very simple building an adaptive card. But the point of our interest today is this card payload editor, because this is how we will share the card payload editor and make it visible to the host applications through this card payload that is generated over here. Let's say we'll place a text block over the adaptive card. It generates the card payload automatically according to the design that we designed in this adaptive card. Let's place an image. It will be placing the image component, and once we had the URL to the image, it would be generating over here. So this is how we design adaptive cards. Once we design all the payload that's related to the design that we designed generates over here in the JSON format. This is our point of interest, and this is end of the day we would need from the adaptive card designer. And then how would we actually use this payload into the Copilot Studio to display it as an adaptive card, like how it looks like this. So let me go to my Copilot Studio screen, and this is one of the bot that I have built, a very simple one, which is an assistant for the admins or system admins. They can view the open IT requests which are sitting in the SharePoint. Let's say a Copilot that will have some buttons over the home screen, or the home adaptive card, which will opens up another card that will populate different open IT requests into a simple card. So it consolidates into a card and it displays into the AUI rich card. So how do we implement this in the Copilot Studio? Let's take this example. So as you all know, there are different conversation paths and in a Copilot when we are dealing with Copilots or chatbots. So we'll be implementing this through topics, which are different conversation paths can be implemented through topics, as you all know. And using a topic, let's say I'm using the conversation start topic. Where is it? Yeah. Let me click on this. It redirects to the right topic. And this is how we'll be placing out the adaptive card in the topic. So because we had a write actions here today in the Copilot Studio. Earlier, we would have to take the support of bot framework composer to build out these adaptive cards. There's no support to the adaptive cards here in the Copilot Studio when it was called Power Virtual Agents. So it is only when the Power Virtual Agent had support to the new authoring canvas, the support to the adaptive cards was added. So here today we can add adaptive cards as we can design the adaptive card designer, and we can freely transform into the adaptive cards into the Copilot Studio. So there are two types of actions in the Copilot Studio related to the adaptive cards. One is asking with adaptive card, and other as sending a message with an adaptive card. I would like to make a make a clear difference between both of them. So one is asking with adaptive cards. If we see the home card, when I refresh this test Copilot, it will again point me to the home card. This is the home card and this is the conversation start topic. So it asks me which of the service that I need. So when I click on the open request button, it actually gives me another card. So if we closely look into this card actually asking some of the user input. So whenever we seek, we require for a user input from a user, be it filling out a form, be it clicking on a button, we are capturing the intent of the user. So when capturing the intent of the user or user input, we would be using the ask with adaptive card action so that we can ask questions. We can also ask simple questions, which we can, if we imagine if we had a series of questions. Without the support of the adaptive cards, we might need to add series of ask a question nodes, and we need to ask questions separately one after the other. With the support of adaptive cards, as you can see in the designer, we could also have the support of the input elements, which is input text, date, and all. So we can simply create a simple form on an adaptive card and ask a series of questions with this action. So ask an adaptive card will actually put it all this user information, and it will also give you automatic variables for what are all the inputs that are available on your card. So here I have a series of buttons. When I click, it captures which of the button title that the user clicked, and based on the user intent, it captures the intent, and we can navigate to the right conversation path. So this is how we can implement this ask with adaptive cards. Let's see how do I implemented this adaptive card. So this is a simple card. It doesn't actually ask any user input and all. Once a button is clicked, it redirects to the other topic and it will just display a simple card. So that I used a message node. How do a message node support a adaptive card? Once a message node is added, go to the add button and click on the adaptive card button. And it again opens up your adaptive card wizard, and where it asks for the JSON payload of the card. But how do I actually generate it? Because when we see in this card, it is compiling different inputs from a SharePoint list, or be it any other data source, be it Dataverse, be it any third-party connectors we have a support for in the Power Automate. So here is where Power Automate comes into picture, where we can compile or we can get the dynamic data and we can plug it into the adaptive card. So before doing that, one quick tip is whenever you are dealing with the array of data, or whenever you are dealing with the array of records that are to be compiled into a single adaptive card, the first tip or the first go-to thing you need to do is go to the adaptive card designer. You build out a card, a simple card with the hard-coded values, not with the dynamic data, but just hard-coded the values or the static data and all. You design the whatever idea that you have in mind, you put it in the designer and design the card. And once you design the card, you just need to analyze or just have a view over the card payload editor to kind of understand what was the structure of the JSON. Once you understand the structure of the JSON, you would be segregating what is the part that is not changing on the adaptive card, and the other part which is changing, like whatever the part of the adaptive card that is being populated dynamically through our data sources. Once you determine that, you are good to go with the topic and you are good to go with the Power Automate flow. What do our Power Automate flow actually do? Whatever I had said, it implements all everything. So here the heavy lifting is done by the Power Automate, because we can also do array of records or compile it with the adaptive card into the Copilot Studio directly. But we can also use the Power Automate, because anyhow we'll be taking the help of Power Automate to get the dynamic data from the external sources or even with the Microsoft sources. So when we are using the Power Automate within the same within the same flow, we can build out the adaptive card and send it out to the Copilot Studio. So here in our Power Automate, let me navigate you through each step. So what I did is I just created a variable, a string variable, and put it almost the first part of the adaptive card payload. How do I determine this should be going to the first part? As I said, determine which of the portion in the card payload is static. So here in my example, the logo, the header, and the column headers are all static. And then the portion, the latter portion is what populated by the records that is coming from our external data sources. So I determined that portion of the adaptive card and plugged into this adaptive card aware adaptive card string variable. And then let's have those actions that are needed for bringing up our data into the Power Automate from external sources or any other data sources. And once we get the array of data, we'll be plugging it again into the for each loop, where we will increment through each of the record, and then just plug it in, plug the dynamic variables into the dynamic content into the other part of the other portion of the adaptive card. What is the other portion of the adaptive card? When we designed, we will be determining which of the portion is being filled by the other data source. So copy that payload which is responsible for this record, and just go ahead and remove the hard coded values and just plug in the dynamic content that is coming from the data source. Pretty much simple. That's the way. And then we'll finally, after the for each loop, we'll be closing the adaptive card with the last two brackets. So this is almost the very similar template that we can keep on using whenever we are dealing with the array of records. Even if your design is complex, but there might be some of the portion that is being static on your adaptive card, and the portion that is being repeating and that is being dynamically being filled in. So pretty much this template can be useful for almost any of those cases. Once the closing of the adaptive card is done, we'll just return this adaptive card as a variable to the Copilot, and then we can just whenever the flow returns, it adds the automatic output variable, and we can just refer that variable into our adaptive card action. As I said earlier, just hit on the send a message and add the adaptive card adaptive card type of this message, and then we are not building out the JSON here, so we just need to refer that variable that is coming from our Power Automate flow. For that, we just need to switch to the formula, and we just need to write an expression that topic dot. Yeah, we just need to refer the adaptive card variable that is coming from our flow, which will give us the adaptive card over here. That's how we'll be dealing with the array of records. And this is how adaptive cards can be implemented in Copilot Studio. So to reiterate, there are two actions. One is to asking questions with an adaptive card, and also the showing out the messages, or showing out simple messages, or also dynamically populating array of records. So that's pretty much simple with my presentation. I had one last slide, which will portray the same thing. Whenever we are dealing with the array of records, this is how we will templatize, or we will visualize how do we build out adaptive cards in the Power Automate and send it out to the Copilot Studio. Thank you for listening to me and bearing with me this few minutes for this presentation. And thank you for the opportunity again. Thank you, everyone.
All right, Sandeep, you rocked it as well. I tell you what, we've got two first-time presenters today, but I wouldn't have known it at all. You are both amazing in your presentation skills. You walked through clearly. Really great to see how we can enhance the user experience in Copilot using those adaptive cards. So thank you, Swami. Thank you, Sandeep. Excellent job. You both rocked it today. Really appreciate you spending some time with the community, sharing your passion and your knowledge. No doubt some friends found that valuable on the call, and will find it when they watch the recording as well. So thank you both. Excellent job. All right, well, let's wrap it up. We'd love to get some feedback from you about the calls. Please rate the content. Let us know how things are going. If there's anything you'd like to see improved, or perhaps you just like how it is, we appreciate to hear that too. Management loves to see that we're doing things good, and appreciate to see that you are finding value in these calls, and it allows us to kind of scale appropriately and add more calls and or more content to meet the needs. The recording will be available in 24 hours or less on the Community Microsoft Community Learning YouTube channel. It's a mouthful. You can subscribe today at ak.ms/community/YouTube. Be sure to subscribe, because you will not be able to download the video from the Teams channel. It'll tell you it's ready for download, but unless you're part of that tenant, you won't be able to download. Just end up in sadness and tears. But happy tears can be had by subscribing. So also follow us on X or Twitter, or whatever we're going to call it today, at M365PNP. You can also get those updates from the LinkedIn community at LinkedIn, ak.ms/community/li. Next Microsoft 365 and Power Platform bi-weekly call 2 weeks from today, July 18th. And of course, next week is our VP Connections and SharePoint Framework. We are here every Thursday for you, no matter holidays, no matter rain, sleet, sunshine, whatever. We are going to have a call for you on Thursdays. That is not on vacation, just those Tuesday calls. So make sure you get all those invites from ak.ms/community/calls. Thank you, everybody, for attending, especially if you're on a holiday today and you chose to spend some time with us. We cannot say thank you enough. We really, really appreciate you. So have a good rest of your week, everybody. A wonderful weekend, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.